Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs, the podcast radio show heard every day across 7 networks, always telling the stories of entrepreneurship, leadership, and how people are adapting to this economy. My name, again, is Jeffrey Davis. I'm founder and CEO of Mage LLC. We've worked with over 700 organizations in the process of building more effective and efficient organizations. And my co-host for this set of interviews is the one and the only John Dustin, president of JED Insurance. Welcome back, John.
Jeff, great to be here again. Glad to see you.
My favorite combination of insurance agent and dog owner in one person.
And not necessarily in that order.
How true, John. Our next guest is Andrew Roberts, founder and managing advisor, AMR Benefits Management. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, I'd like to say nice to see another person back with a tie, but I'm trying to keep the ties at a minimum in this new economy. But Andrew, why don't you tell us about AMR?
AMR is a small boutique consulting firm that basically helps employers save money on healthcare. Right? That's our main focus.
Wow, you must be a busy man.
Well, it certainly is a task. The healthcare system is 20% of the U.S. economy, and there's a lot of interests in making sure what we do doesn't happen. A lot of people have their hands in the cookie jar, and our goal is to help employers, turn the tables effectively to get better results, higher quality care for their employees, and at the same time, much greater transparency into what their costs are and how to control them.
So Andrew, you're using some, I would say, non-traditional mechanisms to do cost containment, provide higher levels of coverage, get away from capitation a little bit, and certainly get away from medical gates. Explain what you're doing so that the entrepreneurs can understand.
Well, effectively now, if we use Massachusetts as an example, a lot of the employers purchase health insurance through a health insurance company. Right? And they're in fully insured arrangements, which means they send a check every month to the insurance company, and the insurance company's job is to manage that money well and make sure they control costs and provide access to providers, hospitals and doctors, and pay the bills as they come in, right, on behalf of the employer. That method has been in place for quite a long time, and what we're seeing is that employers who take a employer-built mindset, an active management mindset, and who engage with building their own custom plan, which entails things like self-funding, right? Taking on a little bit of risk themselves with mechanisms in place that protect them from any large claims. When we change that dynamic, the employer essentially becomes a fiduciary. We give them the tools by which they are able to kind of have a supply chain of vendors who work on their behalf to control costs. And when you change this whole dynamic, in general, employers get better results, right? They can see what they're paying for. They can see the price of care. They're able to track it against measurable metrics like Medicare. So it's a really exciting model.
And not only does the employer benefit, you cited some specific examples in the past of where the employee actually got better treatment. Cite one quick example of that.
Well, the issue right now, the way I look at it, is that employers offer an insurer-built plan, to all the employees, and the employees basically get a one-page sheet of paper that says, "Hey, here's what you pay if you do this or if you do that," and there's really no incentives for an employee to think about value, right? Value is a formula that comes of cost and quality, right? So employees go wherever they go. They have no idea of the quality. They have no idea of the cost, right? So we need to incentivize them in our plans by basically offering them free, right? If you go to the highest quality hospital and you use the highest quality surgeon, you're going to get a better outcome. There was a fantastic post one of my friends put up the other day, and it said, here's what the cost is for a hip replacement in Martha's Vineyard, right? So I don't know why a hip replacement in Martha's Vineyard, but the cost averaged at that particular hospital for insurer-based plans somewhere from $30,000 to $70,000 for a hip replacement, right? So the employee who happens to be maybe living off site, on the vineyard doing work remotely, have no idea what the cost is, and they have no idea what the quality is. Meanwhile, there are places here in Boston, I won't name names of hospitals, where you can get that same hip replacement from the #1 doctor in the state of Massachusetts with the highest quality data for probably $20,000 or less. So at the end of the day, the employee is getting a hip replacement, right? From a potentially not the highest quality. They have no idea of the cost. So when we turn that around and steer an employee through a financial incentive and say to the employee, look, your plan has a $3,000 deductible. If you go where you're going to go, you're going to get low quality care, and you have a $3,000 deductible. If you go to this place that we're recommending, you're going to have your deductible waived, right? So there's an incentive for the employee to make a smart decision. They're going to have the quality data to do it, and they're going to get better outcomes. So that's kind of the concept.
Jeff, you look intrigued. Are you wondering what size demographic group this applies to?
Well, I can't help but think of myself, John. I've been an entrepreneur of small business since 1985. I represent small entrepreneurs and family businesses. And, probably the biggest aggravation I've had since I've started my company has been this obsession with spending time every year renewing my health insurance policies. And I shouldn't say because I haven't done any of the work. My business partner has done it all. But it's unbelievable how much time we spend every year trying to get into a new policy, or look at our policy, evaluate the policy, the age factors, the staff factors, but it just keeps going up. And it's become such a large expense in our business relative to when we first started. And you want to provide employees with the best benefits possible. It's, you want to take care of people who are working for you, but it's become very, very difficult. And, I really think having people like you around, it makes a difference. And maybe we could talk about that for the people who are trying to do it themselves versus hiring someone like you.
I would say 5 years ago, I sat in my office and I said, how am I going to add value? How am I going to add value for employers, right? And I knew that doing what I was doing, right? Dave Chase, who wrote the CEO's Guide to Restoring the American Dream, founder of the Health Rosetta organization, wrote in his book, it's the annual kabuki dance, right? The broker, let's call a spade a spade. The broker comes in with a spreadsheet of 5 or 6 or 10 different insurance company options. Some have a little variable on the deductible. And you, the employer, are stuck in the enviable position of having to pick, the best of the worst. How do we, what do we do, right? You have no idea what you're really spending underneath. Are your employees really using the healthcare plan? To what extent are they using the healthcare plan? You just have really no vision into that. So what employers need to do is employers need to hire an advisor, not a broker. An advisor is somebody who is paid by the employer, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you're listening, how do you pay your accountant? How do you pay your attorney? How do you pay your most trusted advisors? You pay them directly. They are a fiduciary to your organization to some extent, right? So you need to change the dynamic. You need to get away from the spreadsheet. You need to get away from the broker. You need to work with an advisor who has a fiduciary mindset to help your organization get better results. And then you piece together all the different components that will allow you to get better results. And that's really the model. So I got involved with this organization called the Health Rosetta. It's a fantastic mission-driven organization, which is really about restoring the American dream. At the end of the day, it's all about your employees, taking great care of them, getting them to the highest quality care, and driving to value. So it would be ridiculous, you as the employer who's footing the bill, to write a check for $30,000 or $40,000 for a hip replacement from a B quality or C quality doctor, when that same employee could go to an A quality facility, A quality surgeon, and you could pay $18,000 for that same hip replacement. So you tell me where the value. But unfortunately, the system that we have, evolved over time. And I don't want to beat up on the insurance companies because they do a great job and they provide a ton of value for certain employers. But the reality is, as you get larger, if you want to have control of your costs, if you want to have some vision into quality, then you need to change the dynamic and approach it differently.
So Andrew, what demographic can take advantage of the freedom of choice and cost containment that you're describing? What size?
Certainly any employer over 50 employees on their medical plan. That's pretty much a layup. So anybody with 50 or more employees on their medical plan. We can start to look at groups between 25 and 50 on their medical plan and start. It's a little bit heavier of a lift, but not impossible. And if an employer thinks that they're flushing money down the toilet with what they're spending on health insurance, it's worth having a conversation.
I agree with that. The problem is the majority of American businesses are less than 50 people. And unlike you, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit more of an anarchist. I bet you if you look over the last 20 years, small business profits have not increased at the rate that insurance companies' profits have increased. And so who's really the beneficiary here of our healthcare system, and who needs it to perpetuate? And I think, having someone like you, that only makes my argument, having someone like you to advocate for small business owners like John and myself and our clients, I think becomes more important every year. So I want to say that, and I hope you don't mind me saying that. But Andrew, if someone were looking for you and needed your services, and I think it's pretty ubiquitous, everybody does, how would they find you?
A couple of different ways. The easiest thing to do is they can go to my website. It's amrbenefits.com, amrbenefits.com. They can poke around the website. They can communicate with me there. I'm happy to receive an email, aroberts@amrbenefits.com. And if I've got the fire is lit in somebody's heart to actually make some change and think about opportunity, they can shoot me a text, 781-799-0653. Always happy to help. It would be a pleasure.
Great. Hey, Dr. Dustin, and we know that's more of a recent title. How can people find you?
You can go to www.jedinsurance.com. You can email me at john.dustin, DUSTIN, at JED Insurance, or call 508-543-1067.
So since you got your doctorate, are we going to change your email for Dr. Dustin?
Not yet, Jeff. No copays though, and I don't use medical gates. You can talk to me whenever.
Congratulations, John. One thing I know about you is that you get up before the sun every day, and you're always learning and always working. So I want to thank you for joining me as my co-host. Same thing, Andrew. Pleasure having you on. Andrew, make me a deal. Come back again this year and talk to us about healthcare costs. It's a big deal for everybody.
I would love to. We can do a deeper dive. It's a topic I have a lot of passion for. And I think at the end of the day, like we were saying, everybody has the same issue. We're all dealing with it. And hopefully a lot of the stuff we're doing will trickle down in time too. So the company with 2 or 3 employees will have some opportunity for better.
Good. And bring Dr. Dustin with you when you come. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. And remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.